Hello and welcome to another video with Liah. Today I'm going to be talking about dimensional analysis. Before we move on to the practice problems, I want to clarify something. If we say something is going at 5 miles per hour, we can write this in math by saying 5 miles over 1 hour. So the per part means that we can divide, So 5 miles per hour means just 5 miles over 1 hour, which means that it is 5 divided by 1. If we say something is going at 70 miles per hour, that would just be 70 miles over 1 hour, which means that we can divide 70 by 1. A boat was traveling at 75 kilometers per second. How fast is this in meters per second? Alright, so with these problems, dimensional analysis problems, we want to see what unit we start with. So in this case, we are starting with kilometers per second, and then we look at what we want to end with in terms of units. And we know that we want to end with meters per second. Again, this whole meters per second just means meters over seconds, and kilometers per second just means kilometers over seconds. So now that we have what we start with and what we end with, we can go ahead and write this in math. So we have 75 kilometers per second, and we need to multiply by something to get rid of this kilometers and end up with meters instead. So we know that there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, or we can just say 1,000 meters per 1 kilometer. Now, seeing that we have kilometers on top and on the bottom, we can go ahead and cancel out kilometers, leaving us with meters per second. Now that we have the units that we want, we can do the math. Right, so this is going to be 75 times 1,000. We have meters on top, and then this is going to be divided by just 1. So this is just 1 second times 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And if we do this, we come out with 75,000 meters per second. When a train races past at 840 kilometers per second, what is the speed in meters per minute? Alright, so again, we're going to see what units we start with and which ones we end with. So we start here with kilometers per second, and we need to go to meters per minute. So meters per minute. Alright, so that means we need to convert kilometers to meters and seconds into minutes. Now we can write the math, and we have 840 kilometers per second times, well, if we convert the distance first, we can say that there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Seeing that we have kilometers on the top and on the bottom, we can go ahead and cancel that. Next, we can convert our seconds to minutes. Now we know that in 60 seconds, there is 1 minute. So 60 seconds per minute. So that means that we can multiply here. Now that we have seconds on top here and seconds on the bottom, we can go ahead and cancel seconds, leaving us with meters per minute. Now that we have the units we want, we can multiply these fractions. So we have 840 times 1,000 times 60, and that will be meters. And then on the bottom, we just have 1. The answer here is 5.04 times 10 to the 7 meters per minute. The speed of an airplane was 560 miles per hour. Find the airplane speed in meters per second. And then here we have the information that 1 mile is about 1,609 meters. So again, we're going to see what units we started with and what we end with. So miles per hour is what we start with, and we want to go to meters per second. So now we write out the math. So 560 miles in 1 hour. So now we write a fraction that cancels out the miles. And so for that, we know that 1 mile is about 1,609 meters. So if we put here 1 mile on the bottom, then we can put the conversion factor of meters on top. Okay, so there are 1,609 meters per 1 mile. Now that we have miles on the top and on the bottom, we can cancel out miles. Now that we have converted our distance unit, we can go ahead and convert our time. So we need to write this in seconds, okay, meters per second. So we know that in 1 hour, there are 60 minutes, and we know that in 1 minute, there are 60 seconds, which means that in 1 hour, there are 3,600 seconds, okay, or 1 hour per 3,600 seconds. Right, so now that we have hours on top and hours on the bottom, we can go ahead and cancel hours, leaving us with meters per second, just like we wanted here. Now that we have the units that we want, we're just going to multiply straight across. Alright, so we have 560 times 1,609 divided by 3,600. And this is going to give us 250.29 meters per second. A runner was jogging at 0.3 miles per minute. How fast is this in kilometers per hour? Alright, so we have miles per minute, and we want to convert that to kilometers per hour. So now we write our equation. So this is going to be 0.3 miles per minute, and then we have to convert the miles to kilometers. Now from the previous problem, we do know that 1 mile is equal to about 1,609 meters, alright? And we know that here, this would just mean 1.609 kilometers. So in 1 mile, there are about 1.609 kilometers, meaning that if we put 1 mile on the bottom, then on the top we have 1.609 kilometers. Okay, now that we have miles on top and miles on the bottom, we get to cancel this out. And now we go on to convert our time unit, which we need to go from minutes to hours. Alright, so we know that in 60 minutes, there is 1 hour. Okay, now that we have minutes on the top and on the bottom, we get to cancel out minutes, leaving us with kilometers per hour, which is what we want. So now we can just multiply straight across. So 0.3 times 1.609 times 60, and this will be, and this will be kilometers on top, all over 1 hour. The answer here is 29 kilometers per hour. If a vehicle's speed is 95 miles per hour, how many meters per second is this? Alright, so what we want to do is convert miles per hour to meters per second. So we know that we have 1 mile per 1,609 meters. So 95 miles per hour multiplied by the conversion factor here. We can reverse this and say that we have 1,609 meters per 1 mile. So if we have miles on top and miles on the bottom, we get to cancel out that unit. And then we can convert hours to seconds here. So in 1 hour, there are 3,600 seconds. Okay, now that we have hours on top and hours on the bottom, we get to cancel out that, leaving us with meters per second. So with the units we want, we just multiply straight across, so 95 times 1,609, and that'll be meters, and that will be meters on top, and all divided by 3,600 seconds. This gives us about 42.46 meters per second. The speed of light is 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. How fast is this in miles per hour? Right, so we have meters per second, and we want to convert that to miles per hour. And again, dealing with miles and meters, we know that in 1 mile, there are 1,609 meters. Alright, so we have 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. So if we go ahead and convert our distance first, we know that in this many meters, we have 1 mile. So we have meters on top and meters on the bottom. We get to cancel those out, leaving us with miles. So now we can convert our time. And we know that there are 3,600 seconds per 1 hour. So we have seconds on the top and seconds on the bottom. We get to cancel the seconds out, leaving us with miles per hour, just like we want. So that means we get to multiply straight across again. So 3 times 10 to the 8 times 3,600, that'll be miles on top, divided by 1,609, and that'll be hours. Okay. This gives us 6.71 times 10 to the 8 miles per hour. Alright, and just a note on this last question, make sure that you are putting this in parentheses, okay, 3 times 10 to the 8th, so the calculator knows what it's doing, okay, and it doesn't get confused and try to multiply this whole thing by 10 to the 8th. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you found it helpful. If you did, remember to subscribe and leave a comment down below. I'll see you next time.